Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Yeah,
Good
sir.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
good
ma'am.
morning. Good morning. Shall we begin the class quickly? Are you able
Yes,
to see my screen?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, good. Good. Let's begin. So let's begin our class today. Last class we were discussing about different types of graphs. Okay, we had started off or tried to take some examples on what is called as the bipartite graph. I hope all of you remember what we have done in the last class. Now, let us continue on this a little more before we go on to a couple of other important topics. So, a bipartite graph can be represented as k of m comma n. What is m here? M is nothing but it contains what are the vertices in subset V1. I said bipartite graph, the set of vertices is divided into two subsets, V1 and V2, right? And every edge should always be from one V1 to V2. Every edge should be like that only. You cannot have an edge between the vertices among V1, among V2. You cannot have the you cannot have the edge. So K, the bipartite graph is always represented as K of M comma N. M is the vertices in subset V1. N is all the set of all the vertices in subset V2. For example, if I tell you, write a bipartite graph of K of 3 comma 4. Then, how do we write K of 3 comma 4 means what? There are totally 7 vertices. One subset, let us say V1 contains 3 vertices. V2 contains 4 vertices is what is the meaning of K of 3 comma 4. So if I have to draw a bipartite graph of the form K3 comma 4, then how can I do? I will take 3 vertices here. Okay, let me call it as P, Q and R, and then I will take another set contains 4 vertices. I will take 4 vertices like this. So this, let me call it as A, B, C and D. So every edge now that I am going to draw should be from PQR to ABCD only. You cannot have between P and Q, you cannot have any edges. Let us see what can be done. I will take an edge like this, P to A. I will take an edge from P to B. I will take an edge from P to D. All right. Then Q to A I will take. All right. Then I will take Q to C. Okay. I will take R to A, let us say, and then I will take R to D. Okay. So let us say this is my graph. This is a bipartite graph of the form K of 3 comma 4. Now, what is bipartite graph? I said you are dividing the entire set of vertices into two subsets. So what are the entire set of vertices? V is what? V is P, Q, R, A, B, C, D. This is the set of vertices, V. Okay. Now this V, I have divided it into V1 and V2, where V1 contains P, Q, R, V2 contains A, B, C and D. All the edges, if you observe, is all between V1 and V2. Between the vertices of V1 and the vertices of V2, you have taken all the edges. It means we cannot have any edge between any of the vertices of V1. That means you cannot have an edge from P to Q. You cannot have an edge from Q to R. You cannot have an edge from P to R. That is not possible. Similarly, you cannot have an edge from A to B, B to C, C to D, or A to C, or C to D, or D to A, B to D. These kind of vertices, these kind of edges are not possible. Is it clear to you all? Am I clear? What is a bipartite graph?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Suppose I take one more example, K3, 3. Okay, K3, 3 means what? You have a total of 6 vertices and you are dividing this into 2 subsets. V1 contains 3 vertices, let us say, and V2 contains 3 because they have given 3, 3. So you have to take it like that only. So if I have to draw 3, 3, let us say similarly, I can draw in a similar manner. Okay, this is PQR and this is A, B and C. So I can draw all the edges between, should be between these two sets only. I cannot have somewhere in between, something like this. This is a graph, bipartite graph, because you have all the edges between vertices of V1 and vertices of V2. This is what you call it as a bipartite graph. Next, I will move on to what is called complete bipartite graph. What do we mean by complete bipartite? We have seen what is bipartite. Okay. Now let us see what is a complete bipartite graph. Now, suppose I will take the same graph K3, 4. We have drawn the graph there. This graph, look at this graph. We have drawn a K3, 4 graph. I would say this is not a complete bipartite graph. Why? Because we do not have edges between every pair of vertices is not there. That is why every vertex in V1 subset should be connected to all the vertices in V2 subset. That is what you call it as complete bipartite. So what did I say? Every vertex in V1 is connected to all vertices of V2. Then we say that the graph is a bipartite graph, is a complete graph. Now let us say K3, 4. How can I represent? I will take this particular same graph. I will take again P, Q, R, A, B, C, D. This is P, this is Q, this is R, and then I have A, B, C, D. Okay, I have taken an edge from here. I will draw, I am redrawing whatever I have drawn there above. So P to D I have taken, Q to A I have taken, then what I have taken, Q to C I have taken, R to A I have taken, R to D I have taken. Right, this is a graph that I have drawn above. I said this is not complete because all the vertices, every vertex in V1 is not connected to all the vertices of V2. For example, look at P. We have from P, we have PA, we have, right? We have PB. We don't have PC. Edge PC is not there in this graph above. That is why this is not, the above one is not a complete bipartite graph. So I will draw one more edge from P to C. Okay. Now I have taken P to A, P to B, P to C, P to D. Similarly, Q to A, Q to B is not there. I am drawing it now. Q to B, Q to C we have drawn. Q to D I will draw it now. So Q to D. R to A, R to B, R to B I have drawn. R to C I drew. R to D. So for every vertex, from every vertex of V1, all the vertices of V2 should be connected. Such a graph, you call it as a complete bipartite graph. Am I clear to you all? Okay. Let us take one more example, K2, 3. K2, 3 means what? I am taking two vertices A, B in one set. In another set, I have to take three vertices. K2, 3. So my V1 will contain two vertices. I will call it as A, B. My V2 will contain three vertices. Let me call it as P, Q and R. So this is my A, B, P, Q, R. Okay. Now if I have to draw K2, 3 complete bipartite graph, I should draw. Okay. So that means From every vertex of V1, all the vertices of V2 should be connected. From A to P, A to Q, A to R. B to P, P to Q, B to R. That is how we should connect. Then we call it as a complete bipartite graph. A to P I have drawn, A to Q I have drawn, A to R I have drawn. Similarly, B to P, B to Q, B to R. This is a complete bipartite graph. Clear to you all? What is complete bipartite graph?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good. Let's move on next. Okay. Let me take the next. Let's go to the next one. Next important concept that we are going to learn is how do we represent the graphs? Representing graphs. All right. Now, this is again a very important concept. You should know how you can represent a graph. All right. Now, there are three different ways to represent a graph. The first one that we will be learning, let me list out everything. The first one we'll be learning is called as adjacency list. Okay, that is one way of representing. The second way of representing is adjacency matrix. Adjacency matrix. The third way of representing is called as incidence matrix. Now, these are the three ways in which you can represent the graphs. All right. So let us take each one by one. Let us go. First, we will start with adjacency list. Okay. Let's quickly go to, I will take up a graph as an example and see how I can represent that graph using adjacency list. This is my graph. I will take a simple graph. Right. Okay, let me take this A, I will call this as B, I will call this as C, I will call this as D, I will call this as E. Okay, this is my graph. Now, how do I represent this using adjacency list? Okay, now in the adjacency list, I'm going to take a table wherein I represent the first field is the vertex or the first column is the vertex. The second column is which are the vertices that are adjacent to this particular vertex. That is what you call it as a adjacency. This is your adjacency list. So adjacency list consists of what? The vertex. Which are the adjacent vertices to this particular vertex that you are going to consider? Okay. First, let us put down. I pushed off the sheet. First, let me write down what are all the vertices in this graph that is given. What are all the vertices? Let us list it down. We have A is a vertex. We have B, right? A is a vertex, B is a vertex. Oh God, where is this? I moved off the sheet, I think. One second. Okay. A is a vertex, B is a vertex, C is a vertex, D is a vertex, E is a vertex. These are the vertices that we have in this particular graph. Okay. Now, adjacency list means what? For every vertex, you have to identify or write down which are the vertices that are adjacent to that particular vertex. Now, for example, A. Which are the vertices that are adjacent to A?
B and E.
B and E.
B, C and E. Is it not? C is also there. B, C, E. So, B, C, E. Okay. Now, what are the adjacent vertices for B?
A,
A. That's all. There's only one. For C,
AED.
A,
A is there, E is there, D is there. Correct? It is not just A, D, E. These are the vertices. For D, we have C, comma, E. Yes. For E, we have A, C,
CD.
right? So this is called as a adjacency list. So adjacency list means what? First we list down all the vertex that are there in the graph. For each of the vertex, what are the adjacent vertices to that particular vertex? Okay. Now this is what we have taken here is a undirected graph. Let us take an example of a directed graph. Let's take an example of a directed graph. Let me take an example. This is A, this is B. All right, this is A, B, C, D, E. Okay, this is B. Now let me connect. This is a directed graph. All right, so we'll have all arrows, directions. Okay, this is the graph that I am considering. This is a directed graph. Now, for this, we have to write down the adjacency list. Now, when we are considering directed graph, we will write it as initial vertex and terminal vertex. Initial means the starting point, terminal means the ending point. Okay, that is, since it's a directed edge, we have to give the name as initial vertex and terminal vertex. Whereas in case of undirected graph, we can simply take it as vertex and what are the adjacent vertex. Okay, now here also everything is going to be, let us put down first all the vertices that we have. So A I have, B I have, C, D and E. Okay, these are all the vertices that we have in the graph. Which are the terminal vertex for A?
B, C, D, E.
Yes, very good. B, C, D, E. Because those who are not able to follow, we have from A, there is an edge moving towards B. So, with this particular arrow, so we take it as B. We have one edge towards C. We have one edge towards E, one edge towards D. That is why we take the terminal vertex of A is B, C, D and E. For B, anyone?
B only, ma'am.
B, ma'am.
For B,
B only.
B only?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'll draw one more edge. I think I left out one. I'll draw one now. So it becomes BD. All right? B and D. I added a vertex edge now. All right. For C,
A, E,
A
C.
E
A,
E,
A E C
C is also there. For C, C is also there because C has a loop. Okay, whenever there is a loop, it will contribute both to initial vertex as well as terminal vertex. So C is also there. What about D?
None.
Sorry?
null, ma'am.
None. We don't have any terminal vertex for D. Okay, D is null. God, the paper is moving off. For E,
D B B C D D B
B,
C
C, D. B, C and D. All right. For D, it is null. Clear to you all? That's how we represent a adjacency list. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Others?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, no.
Maybe you can try one more graph for adjacency matrix. Take down this graph. Okay, this is one graph. You can find the adjacency matrix for this. You can note down the graph, please, and then do it later. Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Next way of representing so we have seen, we listed out three ways of representing the graph. One is adjacency list, we have done. The second way of representing the graph is called as adjacency matrix. Okay, adjacency matrix. Now, how are we going to represent adjacency matrix? Every entry in the matrix Aij will be equal to 1 if there is a edge from Vi to Vj. If Vi to Vj is an edge of G, G is your graph. Okay, you have to make it as 0, otherwise a very simple one. I think all of you would have learned it somewhere. So adjacency matrix, every entry in the matrix Aij is going to be 1 if there exists an edge Vi to Vj, 0 otherwise. Okay, so let's take a simple graph. A, B, C, D. We'll take a very simple one. All right, this is my graph. So how do I put it in the form of a matrix? So A, B, I'll take it in the same order, A, B, C, D. Right. Now, A to A, there is no loop at this vertex A. Correct? There is no loop. So this will be 0. If there is an edge between any two vertices, that entry will be shown as 1. If there is no edge, then it is 0. If there is a loop also, you should show it as 1. If there is no loop, it is 0. So for the vertex A, there is no loop. So it will be 0. A to B, there is an edge. So you will mark it as 1. A to C, there is an edge. So mark it as 1. A to D also, there is an edge. Mark it as 1. All right. Now B to A. B to A also there is an edge, mark it as 1. B to B, no loop, 0. B to C, B to C is 1, B to D, nothing. C, C to A is 1, C to B is 1, C to C is 0, C to D is 0. Next, D to A is 1, D to B is 0, D to C is 0, D to D is. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I'm hearing only one yes. Why?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it so
Yes,
difficult?
ma'am.
Others are not able to follow, or what? You are not listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Draw the adjacency. Write the adjacency matrix for this graph. All of you. Take down this graph. For this graph, write the adjacency matrix. Done? Anyone? So A to A, there is no loop, so it is 0. A to B is 1. A to C is 1. A to D is 0. B to A is 1. B to B 0. B to C 0. B to D is 1. C to A is 1. C to B is 0. C to C is 0. C to D is 1. Right? Then D to A is 0.
0.
D to B is 1. D to C is 1.
1.
D to D is 0. Did
0.
you all get this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good,
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Take another one. This is a directed multi-graph. All right, take this one. I want you all to try A, B. Try this, all of you. Note down this graph. Okay, then write down this graph and write the adjacency matrix for this. Note down this graph, you can maybe try later. Note it down.
Yes,
Note it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you can try later. Write the adjacency matrix for that. This is a directed multi-graph because you have multiple edges between the vertices. You also have loops, right? And there is a directed edge. Yeah, one more graph I will give. I want you to do it right now. One more graph take down. This is A, B, C, D. Yeah, give me the matrix right away. Do it. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll
Yes,
put
ma'am.
it down here. I'll write it here. There is no enough space for me below there. I'll write it here. A, B, C, D. This is A, B, C, D. Can you give me the values row wise? Anyone?
0, 1, 0, 1.
No? Anyone else?
1101.
No.
0302.
Yes, 0302. Those who all got 1, 1 and all, I don't know. See, look here. A to B. How many edges you have? This is one edge. Okay. This is one edge. This is one edge. This is undirected graph. Right? So there are 3 edges from A to B. So you have to get A to B as 3. A to A, there is no loop, so 0. How did you all get 1 there? Next row, anyone?
3011.
3011, that's right. Third row?
0102.
No,
2120.
no. 2120 is fourth row. I'm asking you, third row is wrong. 01?
0112. 0102.
C to C.
0112.
C to C is 0, no?
0102.
Yeah,
0102.
0102. Correct. Is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
You all get this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Let's move to the next one. Any doubts, anyone so far?
Ma'am, can you tell answer for directed graph, ma'am?
Answer for directed graph, I haven't worked out it. Okay, let's discuss it anyway, right?
4 ones, 0101.
Yeah, anyone can tell?
Yes, ma'am.
4 ones.
First row?
4 ones.
4 ones.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, second row?
0101.
Okay. Third row?
1010.
1010.
Somebody said 2.
No, ma'am.
1010, ma'am.
Did you all get 1010?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Fourth row?
All
4
ones.
ones.
All ones. 4 ones.
Okay. Good, good, good. So I hope there is no doubts. Let's move forward. Shall we go to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, let me change this. Right. So the next one that we are going to see is how do we represent the graphs using incidence matrices. That is the third way of representing it. Okay. So every entry in the matrix we call it as Mij. That is will be equal to 1. When you have an edge Ej is incident with Vi. Okay. 0 otherwise. Ej is incident with Vi. Then you are giving the corresponding entry in your matrix Mij will be equal to 1. Let's see an example so that will make it very clear to you. 1 minute. Let me take an example of a graph. Call this V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. All right. Then I have an edge here. All right, this is the graph. Let me name the edges. This is E1. This is E2. This is E3. This is E4. This is E6. E5. Okay. Now I put it down in the form of the matrix. Rows will represent your vertex V3, V4, V5. Edges E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6. Okay. Now, U1 to V1. E1 here, if you see, it is an edge. You have an edge which is starting at V1. That is your E1 edge starts at V1. So you will mark this entry as 1. Now, if you look at what other edges are starting at V, see, simple thing is here, I will make it very simple for you. When you consider this edge V1, what are the edges that are starting from V1? That's all. Those entries you have to mark it as 1 in the matrix. We have from the edge V1, we have E1, we have E2, that's all. There are no more edges coming from V1. So E1 will be marked 1, E2 is also marked 1, E3, E4, E5, E6 are all 0. Am I making it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us come to V2, the vertex V2. This is my V2. How many edges are starting at V2? We have E3, we have E4, right? E3 and E4, I
E6,
plus 1. Sorry?
E6.
Yeah, E6 also, correct. E6, E3, E4, E6. I will mark it as 1. The rest I will mark it as 0. Right? Next, I will come to the vertex V3. When I come to V3, we have E6, E5. That's all. E6 and E5. These two I will mark it as 1. The rest I will mark it as 0. All right. Then V4. When you come to V4, you have edge E1, you have E3. E1, E3, rest I will mark it as 0. Then V5, if you come, we have E5, E4, E2, right? E2, E4, E5. This is the incidence. Oh, I'm sorry. This is one. This is the incidence matrix for representing the graph. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So when at every vertex, what are the edges that are starting at that particular vertex? That is what you have to see. Based on that, you mark whether if there is a vertex, which are all the edges that are starting, those edges will be marked as 1 in the graph. If there is no edge starting, then mark them as 0. That's all. Let's take another example. I'll give you one more graph. Probably you can try. Note down this. V1, this is V2, this is V3, V4, V5. Okay, there is a loop here. That's all. Let me name the edges. This is E1 edge, this is E2, E3, okay, E4, E5, E6, E7. Okay, there is a loop here, all right. This is E8. Can you draw the matrix and give me the result, please? Hello?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm waiting for your answer. Anyone?
One, 1, 1 and 5 zeros, ma'am. First row.
Okay. Anybody else matching with this answer, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Second row.
0, 111,
0
0, 111, 0.
0 111 0.
0 111 1 0
0
111 0.
111
Yes.
All right. Next.
3
0
zeros,
0
11.
11 000.
Is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Next one.
6
0
zeros,
11.
11.
Last.
Yes. Next.
401100.
400000.
1100. Correct.
Yes. Very good. So this is the incidence matrix. So these are the three different ways in which you can, what to say, represent the graphs. Adjacency list is one, adjacency matrix is one, incidence matrix is one. Clear to all of you? Any doubts, anyone?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Very good. So let's move on. Next is a very, very important concept. And there will definitely be a question on this. To do that, this much of introduction and background was required. Okay? What we call it as isomorphism of graphs. Okay? That is what we are going to learn. Now, what are we going to learn in this is, given two graphs, G1 and G2, you have to check whether these two graphs, these two are isomorphic or not. How are we going to do this? This is all is the question. There will be given two graphs to you. Okay? They'll give you two different graphs. You have to check whether these two graphs are isomorphic or not. Now, let us look at the definition first, though it is a little complex to understand the definition. But then if you get into the examples, things will become more comfortable. Now, we say that two graphs. I have taken one graph. Again, it contains V1, E1, set of vertices and set of edges. I have the second graph which is given to me, which contains another set of vertices and edges. Now, these are called as isomorphic. If there is going to be a one-to-one mapping or a one-to-one function, okay, from V1 to V2. That means there is a function, one-to-one function from every vertex of G1 to every vertex of G2. And there is a one-to-one function between every edge of G to every edge of G2. Then we call such a function or such graphs as isomorphic graphs. And not, that means, in other words, when two simple graphs are said to be isomorphic, when there is a one-to-one correspondence between the vertices of the two graphs that preserves the adjacency. That's what the definition says. That means every vertex of your G1 should be mapped onto every vertex of your, should be mapped onto a particular vertex of G2. Every edge of G1 should be mapped to some particular edge of E2. If you are of G2, if you are able to do that, then we say that these two graphs are said to be isomorphic. Now, let me repeat. I said there are two graphs, G1 and G2 given. These graphs are said to be isomorphic if there exists a one-to-one mapping or a one-to-one function between these two graphs. In other words, we say that every vertex of G1 should be mapped onto a particular vertex of G2. Every edge of G1 should be mapped to a particular edge of G2. If we are able to do this, then we can call both the graphs are isomorphic. Isomorphic means what? Something which has the same structure. Then that is the meaning of iso. Iso means same, morphic means structure. So isomorphic means something which have the same structure. Okay, two graphs to look at, they may be very different. They may not look same to you, but they may have the same structure. So what are the qualities that we have to check in for in order to say that these two graphs are isomorphic? First, let's list that out. Okay, let me take the next sheet. All right. Now, what are the properties that both graphs should satisfy? You can make a note as I write it so that when we solve the problems, it will become very easy for you. All right. What are the properties that these two graphs should satisfy so that I can call these two graphs as isomorphic? All right. The first property they should satisfy is the number of vertices in G1 or the graph. Let me call the graph as G1 and G2. Okay, these are my two graphs. Should be equal to the number of vertices in G2. That's the first property that should satisfy. If these vertices, if the number of vertices in G1 is not the same as the number of vertices in G2, I need not have to check for isomorphism at all. Clearly, I can immediately tell off that the graphs are not isomorphic. Okay. Now, second property is the number of edges in G1. So, sorry, any doubts? Z should be equal to the number of edges in G2. This is the second property. As you go along, any of the property, if you feel is not satisfying, you can stop at that and say the graphs are not isomorphic. Okay. The first condition is property is what? Number of edges, vertices in G1 should be equal to the number of vertices in G2. The second property is number of edges in G1 should be equal to the number of edges in G2. Third property is the degree sequence of G1 should be the same as the degree sequence of G2. All right. That means degree of, what does this mean to me? Degree of every vertex sequence should also be the same as degree of every vertex sequence. I will tell you what it is when we solve the problems. Don't worry about that. Just note it down. The fourth property is smallest possible cycle length should be the same in both the graphs. Some smallest possible cycle length should be the same in both the graphs. That means some graphs may not have cycle at all. Then that's okay. You can drop this property there. If the graph has no cycle, then obviously you cannot check whether the cycle length is same or not. If the graph has cycle, if one graph has cycle, one doesn't have cycle, they may not give like that. Because the moment if you have something like that, then immediately you can say the graphs are not isomorphic. Okay. So smallest possible cycle length should be same. If there are no cycles in those two graphs, you can omit this particular property. All right. Next. The fifth property is vertex preserving property or one-to-one mapping of vertex. Okay, that means as I told you, every vertex of G1 should be mapped onto a particular vertex of V2. That has to be done. That means there should be a one-to-one mapping between all the vertices of G1 and G2. That is called as vertex preserving property. Next we have edge preserving property. This is again a one-to-one mapping. That, as I said, every edge of G1 should be equivalent to some edge of G2. It should be possible. I mean, it should be done. One-to-one mapping should be there. If it is there, then fine. The seventh property is, we consider the adjacency matrix of both the graphs should be the same. Adjacency matrix of both the graphs should be same. All right. Now you have to do this, all these steps in this particular order only. For instance, you cannot start with, okay, let me check the adjacency matrix. You cannot do that. Don't do that. If you first step itself, if you say, okay, let me check adjacency matrix, definitely it will not be the same when you do it in the first step, because you should first find out, you should be able to first find out what is vertex, one-to-one mapping of vertex, one-to-one mapping of edge. Once you do this only, you can go into the adjacency matrix and find out. So please follow the same order in which you will be doing this when you're trying to solve the problems. Don't change this order. Okay, first you check for number of vertices, check for number of edges, check for the degree sequence of G1 and G2. Then if there are cycles in the graph, check for the smallest possible cycle length. If there are no cycle, leave it off. Then do the one-to-one mapping of vertex, one-to-one mapping of edge. It's very, very important. Last step only you should go for adjacency matrix, because there is some change in when you do this adjacency matrix. I will tell you when we come to that step. Clear to you all? These are the steps. Have you noted down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is very, very important for us to solve any problem. You have to follow this steps only. Okay, let us start with some problems. Very simple problem. Let us take first. Check whether G and H, or given G1 and G2 are isomorphic or not. That's our question. One question on this definitely will be there in your exam, so better learn it properly. Let me draw a simple graph we are taking. All of you pay attention. This is very important. We'll call this A, B, C, D, E. Let me take a next sheet, because I don't think I'll be able to finish this problem in this sheet. I'm going, all right. 1 minute. Take a fresh page so that, yeah, good enough. Let me draw it again. So this is A, B, C, D, E. This is my graph G1. Okay. Now let me draw the graph G2. P, Q, R, S, and T. This is my graph G2. Clear to you? Now we have to check whether these two properties, these two graphs are isomorphic or not by going through the 6 or 7 properties that we have put down. Now listen to me once. We have told one property on the smallest cycle length of the graph. Is it not? Is there any cycle in these graphs?
No, ma'am.
Is there any cycle?
No, ma'am.
Is there any cycles in the graph?
No, ma'am.
No, there are no cycles. There are no cycles in this graph. Okay, means there are no loops, no cycle, nothing. So everything is open. There are no closed section like that to call it as a loop. So we can omit one of the property that is possible, the smallest possible cycle length. I can omit in this because there are no cycles at all. So out of the 7 properties, I need to check only 6 properties. All right. So let us go one by one. For G1, I will write here. For G2, I will write here. What is my first property? I will check for number of vertices. What is the number of vertices in G1?
5.
5.
5. I will also check number of vertices in G2. What is number of vertices in G2?
Same, ma'am.
Same. 5. So the first property is satisfied. Alright. Second, number of edges. How many edges we have?
5.
4, ma'am.
4, 5. You go on counting properly. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Who said 5?
4, ma'am.
4. Okay. Come to G2. Number of edges in G2 is how much? 1, 2, 3,
Same, ma'am.
4.
4.
Same.
4.
4. Make some markings like that so that you will not go wrong in finding out the number of edges. All right. Counting the edges, sometimes we may go wrong. So make a marking something like this so that you will not be making any mistakes. Degree sequence. Third property I have to find out is degree sequence. What are the edges that I have? I mean, vertices that I have? A, B, C, D, E. In the exam also you follow the same pattern of solving it so that there will be clarity even for the evaluator as to how you have done it. Okay. Now, here degree sequence means I have to find out the degree of every vertex in this order. A, B, C, D, E are my vertices. I have to find out the degree of every vertex. What is the degree of A? Yesterday's class we have done.
2.
Degree of A is 2.
2.
Degree of B?
1.
1. Degree of C?
3.
3.
Degree of D?
1.
E?
1.
Alright. Similarly, come to the graph G2. P?
1.
1.
Q?
3. 3.
3.
R?
1.
1.
Yes.
2, ma'am.
T?
1.
1.
Alright. So this is the degree sequence. Observe this degree sequence now. How many vertices you have of degree 2 here in G1? Only 1. Correct? See, when I say degree sequence, order need not be the same. The order need not be the same. But look at the degrees. How many vertices you have of degree 2? There is 1 degree or 1 vertex of degree 2 in G1. There is 1 vertex of degree 2 in G2 also. There are 3 vertices of degree 1 in G1. There are 3 vertices of degree 1 in G2. There is 1 vertex of degree 3 in G1. There is 1 vertex of degree 3 in G2. This is what we say the degree sequence of both the graphs are same. Are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Order need not be the same. Here I got 2, 1, 3, 1, 1. There also I need not get 2, 1, 3, 1, 1. I have 1 vertex of degree 3. Then in both the graphs I should have 1 vertex of degree 3. If I have 3 vertices of degree 1, in both the graphs I am having 3 vertices of degree 1. I have 1 vertex of degree 2. Here also I should have 1 vertex of degree 2. That is all. That is called as degree sequence. All right. Next. Let us go to the next property, vertex preserving. Or we have to see one-to-one mapping between the vertices. Okay, vertex preserving. Means what? I should, in this particular graph G1, in graph G1, we have vertex A, let us say. Vertex A is equivalent to which vertex of G2? That is what we have to see. Is it P, is it Q, is it R, is it S, is it T? How do I find out? Okay. Now, let me take vertex C has degree 3. Let me take that vertex C. It has degree 3. Which are the vertices which are adjacent to C?
Q.
A.
A.
Q it seems. Who's that? Sleeping, huh?
Shashank.
Okay. Come to C. Let me take C. C has degree of 3. Correct? Which are the edges, which are the vertices which are adjacent to C?
A, D, E.
A, D and
E.
E. Alright. Now what is the degree of A? Degree of A is 2. Degree of D is 1. Degree of E is also 1. Okay. Similarly, let us come to G2. I will tell you how to do this. Which is a vertex which has degree 3 here? Q. Right? Q has a degree 3. What are the adjacent vertices of Q?
P, R,
P, R and S. So P has degree 1, R has degree 1, S has degree 2. Alright? Okay. Now, let me take A. A has degree 2. Which are the edges, vertices adjacent to A?
BC.
B and C. Degree of B is 1, C is 3. Alright? Yes, sir. Here. S is the one which has degree 2. Which are the edges?
Q and T.
Okay. Now, alright. Now look here. A, vertex A, adjacent to A is B and C, which has degree 1 and 3. Similarly, S is a vertex with degree 2. It has adjacent Q and T, which also has degree 1 and 3. So, can I say A is equivalent to S?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is adjacent. A has 2 adjacent vertices, which has degree 1 and 3. S also has 2 adjacent vertices, which has degree 1 and 3. Okay, both structure-wise, both are same. So, I can always say A is equivalent to S.
60 minutes.
Now, similarly, can I say this B is equivalent to this T? B has just degree of 1 and it is adjacent to A. Similarly, T has degree 1 and it is adjacent to S. So, I can say B is equivalent to T. Similarly, C is equivalent to, I can write C is equivalent to Q. Even in the first comparison, if you see here, C and Q, I can always say C is equivalent to Q. Because C is adjacent to A, D and E, which has degree 2, 1, 1. Q is also adjacent to P, R and S, which has degree 1, 2 and 1. Right? So, I can always say C is equivalent to Q. Then D. If you observe here, D, E has 1 and 1. Here, P and R has 1 and 1. So, I can say D is equivalent to R and E is equivalent to P. You can take the other way around also. E can be equivalent to R and D can be equivalent to P. That is also right. No problem. So, this is nothing but the one-to-one correspondence of the vertex. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Like this, now we have to move on to edge preserving. So, probably we will continue in the next class, or shall we finish? I don't know. Just hold on, I will ask, sir, we can finish this class in 10 minutes. No problem. I'll finish it off. So, this is called as edge preserving, where, vertex preserving, where we are trying to make each vertex of G1 should be equivalent to one of the vertex of G2. Okay. Now, once you finish this vertex preserving, the next one you have to do is edge preserving. Let us see what is edge preserving. Okay, so we said A is equivalent to S, B is equivalent to T, C is equivalent to Q, D is equivalent to R, and E is equivalent to P. This is what we have told. Now, let us come to the next property, that is edge preserving. That means you have to do a one-to-one mapping between the edges. Every edge of G1 should be equivalent to an edge of G2. We have done for vertex, we have to do for edge. Okay, let us consider all possible edges of G1. What are the possible edges we have? We have an edge from A to B, right? We have an edge from A to C. We have an edge from C to E, C to D, A to B, A to C, C to E, C to D. That's all. These are the 4 edges. What are the equivalent edges in G2? That is what we have to see. A to B. What is an edge which is equivalent to A to B? Now, how to find out that? What is a vertex equivalent to A? It is S. So, S, B, it is T. So, an edge which is equivalent to AB is the edge which is ST. Are you following?
Yes.
If you're not following, we'll take up one more problem. Don't worry. A to C, there is an edge. Which is the edge which is equivalent? Which edge of G2 I can map it to AC? That is what I have to find out. What is S? A is equivalent to S. C is equivalent to Q. So AC edge is equivalent to SQ edge of G2. Similarly, CE. C is equivalent to Q. E is equivalent to P. So QP edge of G2 is mapped to CE edge of G1. CD is QR. Yeah, QR edge of G2 is mapped to CD edge of G1. So this is nothing but one-to-one mapping of every edge. Every edge of G1 should be equivalent to an edge of G2. So then we say edge preserving property is preserved. The last property is adjacency matrix. Okay, now write down the adjacency matrix for G1, A, B, C. One thing you have to understand here. Now, this is, you will write adjacency matrix for G1. When you write adjacency matrix for G2, you have to take the equivalent vertex. So, what is equivalent to A? Yes, T, Q, R, P. Here, yes, T, Q, R, P. Don't take it in the PQRST manner. You will go wrong. So what is equivalent to A? Equivalent to A is yes. So I have taken yes. Equivalent to B is T. Equivalent to C is Q. Equivalent to D is R. E, P. That's how you should take it. Now you write down the adjacency matrix looking at the graph. Both the graph adjacency matrix should come the same. A to A is 0. A to B is 1. A to C is 1. 0. 0.
0.
Yeah. So this is 1. This is 0, 0, 0, 0. This is 1, 0, 0, 1,
1.
0, 0, 1.
0.
Okay, this is the adjacency matrix for G1. Write down the adjacency matrix for G2 with respect to this vertices. S to S is 0. Like that you should write. S to T is 1. S to Q is 1. S to R is 0. S to P is 0.
0.
T to S is 1. 0, 0, 0. 0. So if you observe, adjacency matrix of G1 is same as adjacency matrix of G2. Therefore, we say since all the properties are satisfied, we say G1 and G2 are isomorphic. Any doubts? If you have, let's take up the problem again once again in the next class. Don't worry. But go through this problem again and see what doubts you have so that we can work on it again. All right. We will be solving a couple of more problems in the next class so that you become very much familiar with how to solve it. Answer your attendance. Anaga?
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash,
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil,
Yes, ma'am.
Akrut,
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha,
Yes, ma'am.
Rind,
Present, ma'am.
Harifullah,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Kanakraj,
Present, ma'am.
Prakash,
Yes, ma'am.
Bhargav,
Yes, ma'am.
Rahmatullah,
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra,
Present, ma'am.
Chandana,
Present, ma'am.
Darshan,
Present, ma'am.
Charan, Diksha,
Present, ma'am.
Dakshayani,
Present, ma'am.
Kishan,
Present, ma'am.
Harshit, Hemlata,
Present, ma'am.
ಸರಿ ಆಂಟಿ ಒಂದು
Uma,
ಎರಡು
Present, ma'am.
Jayant,
Present, ma'am.
Divya,
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushik,
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi,
Present, ma'am.
Lavanya,
Present, ma'am.
Manish,
Present, ma'am.
Manoj,
ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್
Mohit,
Yes, ma'am.
Naval,
Yes, ma'am.
Navya,
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil,
Present, ma'am.
Vanindra,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan,
Present, ma'am.
Pooja,
Present, ma'am.
Purnima,
Present, ma'am.
Raman,
Yes, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Yes, ma'am.
Rupak,
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar,
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Santosh,
Present, ma'am.
Shadab,
Present, ma'am.
Sharan,
Present, ma'am.
Jasha,
Yes, ma'am.
Sheetal,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani,
Present, ma'am.
Soumya, Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu,
ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್
Sugandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Sushma,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita BS,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita U,
Present, ma'am.
Geeta,
Present, ma'am.
Tripti,
Present, ma'am.
Asha,
Present, ma'am.
Meena.
Present, ma'am.
All right, we'll meet in the next class. Thank you all.